Hello, everybody, and welcome to the True Love Talk channel. Here we want to learn about human sexuality and love based on the teachings that Pope John Paul II left in the Theology of the Body. I am Elisa, and today we're going to talk about the two last characteristics of true love. Love is fruitful and love is faithful. So, let's begin. Okay, so about these two last characteristics of love, it being faithful and fruitful. About faithfulness, I really like a sentence from some Argentinian comedians, and they would say that true love lasts more or less about 3 months, right? And I like this sentence because it summarizes the view that we in modern society have of love. And that is why I wanted to start this series with the difference between feelings and emotions, because we want to see love as a feeling, and if it's a feeling, I am not responsible for it. I am supposed to just feel it. It has to be born inside me. Because it is an emotion, love has to be decided, and it has to be decided every day. That is what faithfulness is, to decide to love the same person every day for the rest of our lives, right? But um, we have a very weird way of defining a nice person, an interesting person nowadays. An interesting person is impulsive, is somebody that is never satisfied, that is always moving, always seeking for emotions. And really living means having a lot of weird stories, and that may be even dangerous or complicated, because a very steady life, a steady personality, a person that knows what they want and they do it every day, that devotes themselves into one project, is basically a boring, unworthy person. This idea of always seeking emotions and being unpredictable and being so spontaneous is actually some of the greatest criteria that mental health professionals use to diagnose personality disorders. When a person has a personality disorder, they start having this kind of of characteristics, of features, personality features. The impulsivity, the always seeking emotion, the never having anything steady, that usually speaks of a problem. And because we are individuals, because we're modern individuals, we are not supposed to give up our personal plans for anybody. And that means that creating plans with somebody else, as it happens when we create a family, is sheer absurdity, right? All of sexual relationships, all the relationships that we can have in sexuality, such as friends and siblings and so on, need a level of commitment to the other person and of sacrificing parts of oneself to to have a common goal. But this is especially important in the spousal relationship. In romantic relationships, especially if this is a marriage, we need to create a shared life, a life that is not just my life, but both of our lives. And because we don't want this, because we're modern individuals, basically love becomes, or our spouse becomes, the roommate with rights, right? A roommate with rights. We share the bed, but that's all we share. The rest, it's up to us, right? And we don't have to sacrifice absolutely anything. So people say a lot that routine kills love, because that steady life, that is sacrifice, that permanent sacrifice every day, is just something that ends with yeah, that finishes any possibility of choosing to stay. I have never seen routine kill love. what actually kills love is that people decide that they don't need to say I love you, that the other person already knows, and they take it for granted that because I said I love you 15 years ago, the other person still knows, so it's okay. And the thing is, the other person starts wondering if one really loves them, and when they feel that they are not loved, it's harder to choose to stay, to choose to keep loving. That is actually what kills love. We need to choose not only to love the other person, but also to show the other person that we love it, to let them know, or else, but it's not worth it's not worth loving, okay, so to speak. And well, that's what faithfulness is basically. And now about it being fruitful. The fruits of love are always measured in humanity. Love is the way in which we can perfect humanity. And that means that we have to be better human beings when we love. The first fruit of humanity is my own humanity, of course. I have to become a better person. If at the start of our relationship I had a job, a house, a car, friends, and at the end I am alone with no family, homeless, and so on, then clearly this is not a good relationship and it wasn't love. Okay? And this is how much do we advance is a good thermometer of, or yeah, a good way of measuring if this is true love and it's going forward. And the second part is how much does my significant other, his humanity or her humanity, is perfected or is discovered and developed, right? It's not just for me, it's for the other. In every kind of a relationship, it doesn't matter if we're just siblings. We have to make each other better, always. And finally, it will be fruitful. True love is fruitful because every relationship is called to a parenthood. And this parenthood can be was genetic when it's a spousal relationship. Of course, you can have children, but when it's not a spousal relationship, we can still have spiritual children, right? We can help others be better because we're being better. Because in this relationship, I did something good, I can give that up for third parties to enjoy and to yes to gain from it. So faithful going love is always fruitful and it always ends up in parenthood, whatever kind of parenthood, but we are all called to parenthood because we are all called to love, to sexuality basically. Okay, and finally, to end up this video, I would like to tell you that Pope John Paul II was able to determine these characteristics of true love by looking at the cross. The cross was absolutely free, if you notice. Nobody asked God to save us. Actually, we wouldn't have noticed if he just erased creation and started again. He could have done that, and none of us could have done anything, and we wouldn't know. But still, he stayed, and he still redeemed us, even though we screwed up, right? It is total. He didn't keep a drop of blood for himself. He gave us everything in the cross. His life, his divinity, his everything was there. It was also faithful. The first time God promises us redemption is the moment when he realizes that we fell. The moment that he knew or noticed that we had noticed that we were naked, at that moment, he promised us that he would redeem us. And even though he had chosen, well, first of all, from that moment on, human beings have been very bad people. But besides that, he chose the chosen people, Israel, and they were quite unfaithful to him. And he still stayed with us. He always, he never left us. And finally, it's fruitful. The cross is fruitful because it gave us back the possibility of being saints. We had lost that possibility when we fell. We would not be able to love well or to be perfect humans. And because he died in the cross and he redeemed us, then we get the grace to go back to being as perfect as he chose us to be when he created us. Basically, that's what puts his plan back on track and gives us the possibility of fulfilling his plan, which is something that we had lost. So, anyway, these are the characteristics of love. It's free, it's total, it's faithful, and it's fruitful. And remember that love can only be decided by people. Love is personal. Animals do not love. Okay, so that's it. On the next video, we are going to start with the promised chastity videos about, and the first one being, what does it mean to be chaste in our relationship with God? Well, I'm very glad that you chose to stay until the end of the video. If you have any questions or any comments, please write them in the comment section below. I will try to answer them as soon as possible. And see you in the next video. Have a nice day. Lots of blessings for everybody. Bye.